really, what are the rules for being outside? When is it a gathering that is a banned gathering?
First of all, if you go to the gym and you are going to practice in your gym and there is distance of 2 meters, you don't use the showers, you don't use a thing, you can do that activity. But when you get out, we don't want you to stay with your friends having a beer around the car. You cannot suppose, or even water, because then you are not, you are from different bubbles, you are not, you are there not for an essential issue, it's not for work, it's because you are making socialization. This is forbidden. Am I clear with this?
But when is it, to clarify, when is that become a banned gathering? Is it when it is social, even though, we talked about kids in parks?
When it's social. In fact, the job is on the détail, and I want to tell you we are working on those issues, and there is going to be in the websites some answers of those type of questions.
Okay.
But suppose you are going to walk with your family where you live with to a park, Parc du Mont-Royal, okay? Those family are always at a distance of 2 meters. They are not there for a meeting. They are not there for a festa. They are not there for a manifestation. This is okay because you are staying separated from the others and you are in a space where you can walk or practice your sport if you are alone.
And so for my second question, it's actually on the announcement of the day for Mr. Fitzgibbon. I'd like to talk about for workers themselves. So we have money for businesses, but what about for workers? Are you really letting Ottawa take care of that with the employment insurance, and Quebec is giving nothing for workers?
Yeah, well, I think I'll answer another question earlier that the idea here is not to duplicate. For example, on the rent side, we have a federal program to assist on rent subsidy, which the 23,000 companies in Quebec have benefited from that rent subsidy. If that is to prevail, we're not going to be adding on a fixed cost on the rent, otherwise there'll be duplication. So there's no duplication. The principle here is that the federal government has done a good job on the wage subsidy, for example, which will continue until June 2021. It's modulated depending on the lack of revenue. So that the subsidy on the employment side, federal is doing it. So we're taking care of the other fixed costs. Otherwise, it'll be duplicating, which makes no sense.
On va terminer avec Raquel Fletcher de Global.
Good afternoon. I want to go back to the students who walked out of their school, but my question is actually for Mr. Legault, because the students say that they walked out of their classes today because they are so overcrowded, and keeping that 2 meters of distance between them is impossible because the classrooms are so crowded. And they're asking for a number of modifications. But what do you say to those students and parents and students in general who say they do not feel safe inside the classroom?
But first, I don't know exactly the situation you're mentioning. So what's the size of the classroom? Are we talking about high school, or how old are the kids? And but right now we follow the guidelines of the health public health. So I feel confident that the rules are okay.
Okay, and my second question is for Mr. Fitzgibbon about the I don't know how to say it in English, the money that you are giving for fixed expenses. Is it enough? We've heard from the opposition parties today saying that they wanted to see more grants, less loans. You've announced $15,000. Is that enough to save these businesses, to make sure they don't go under?
Well, listen, I mean, it's never enough, right? But there is a rigor that needs to prevail in this government. And as I said earlier, we are allocating $100 million. That's going to be the cost of the program. Basically, 12,000 enterprises which will close, take 75% of those at $10,000, $90 million. If you look at the average fixed expenses, if you exclude salary, you're about at $13,000. So we feel that we are hitting the average. So if we compensate the fixed costs for the month of October, excluding salary, while the federal is taking care of the wage subsidy, I think it's enough. I mean, of course, we could double that, but I mean, it would be totally a lack of rigor for us to do that. So it's $100 million we're allocating. I feel comfortable that we are allowing these companies to survive that month. Some restaurants, bar enterprises are facing probably extinction, and then we're not going to put money if we don't believe they're going to get out of the doldrums. So I think it's a program that I feel extremely comfortable with in the current circumstances. And we'll have to adjust as we move forward. But for today, I think it's a good program.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Allez répondre à la bonne nouvelle.